Hi, welcome to Rapture Ready 78. I have a couple things I want to talk about today. It'll probably branch off into more than a couple things. Those strange sights in the sky, I want to speak about just briefly. And then the second thing I want to talk about is my testimony, which is important for me to give. If that cross behind me falls, it's because it's just jammed up in the door there, so if it falls. I have another YouTube channel where I talk a lot about my physical pain, and I kind of got sick of talking about physical pain. I have a lot of different pain disorders, there's about 12 of them. And I spoke about my experiences. They were miracles, okay? They weren't just. It wasn't just a simple experience. It was a miracle, and I want to talk about that. And so, before I begin this video, please don't forget to like this, because it helps me in the algorithm. Because that's the way YouTube is. Please subscribe, please comment. I do read some of the comments. Usually I'm overwhelmed with pain, so I do my best to read through them. Before I get to the things that people are seeing in the sky, I just want to say, when all these things are happening, all these things you see happening in society, and you're learning about the Bible and everything, and just everything coming in at once, and you're trying to learn, and the world is, falling down. It's hard to get a grip on what is truly important, isn't it? And the thing that's important, and I find, I have autism, okay? I'm an empathetic person. I don't suffer with an empathy problem like many people with autism do. It doesn't mean they don't have empathy. It just means it's hard to express it. And it's hard to put yourself into other people's shoes in the moment. It's just a problem that's normal in autism and other disorders too. It's hard, so I'm trying to make a comparison for people with and without. You learn about the Bible, you learn about all these stories, and you forget about Jesus, right? And it's so easy to forget about that. For me it is. I find that I get so consumed with other things that I forget what he did. And let me elaborate. People say, why do we have so much pain in this world? Why is the world the way it is? Why didn't God just destroy the devil? Death entered through Adam and Eve, right? And that's where it began. And you don't have to really explain it further than that, because that is what happened. And he promised that we would die, and that's why we suffer disease and all that type of stuff. And you see in the story of Abraham, when the ox is in the fence there. When he goes to sacrifice his son, but instead he went to, and God said, no, don't sacrifice Isaac. The symbolism for that ox in the fence was, or the ram in the fence, was the symbol of Jesus, I believe. So imagine he came down here for us when he didn't have to be made into a human being. So he came down here, and he full well knew that he was going to experience everything that we experience fleshly in our minds. Everything he had to come here and experience. And he was the only person in history. Think of it. Nothing's written about Jesus, about anyone saying that he sinned. How could he go for, what was it, was 33 years? How could he go for 33 years and I think he was talking to Peter. He said, have you ever seen me sin? And no, the answer is no. He didn't sin. That's truly, that is a miracle. That's more than a miracle. That's amazing. That's like, but he came down here and he died in the most brutal fashion that you can imagine. For us to be where we are right now, and the reason why I'm making this video. Got to take a little breath in my voice here. I just went to the grocery store. Hey, I appreciate all the subscriptions, by the way. I can see the subscriptions going up. That makes me feel good and makes me feel like the message is getting out a lot more. So the things in you know, that people are seeing everywhere, there's a lot of stuff about it. It's all over the news. It makes you wonder if they're just setting it up. What is it? Who's doing it? You know, they're not releasing the information on what these things truly are. You know, they say, okay, the first one is a Chinese weather balloon. They say China says it is theirs. There's a lot of confusion, and it turns out that these things are in I think they say 40 different countries. I saw some video today. I always have my computer open, my YouTube, so I'm subscribed to a lot of different things, news channels. You know, UFO over Mexico. The one that they shot over Canada, the pilot said he didn't know how it was staying in the air the way it was. As Christians, you should know, and so I'm telling you, those things that are happening, I'm not telling you not to look at them and not to see what they are, because everyone wants to know what they are. But we're supposed to ignore those types of things, right? We're supposed to, or I don't know if we're not supposed to, if we're supposed to ignore them, but we're not supposed to be scared or worried about them. But what is the real purpose of these things? And so I saw an interview. I'm going to share for you, with you, a few links in my description box. One's going to be Tucker Carlson from a year ago talking with a military expert. I think he's a military expert, but all this information comes from the Navy, U.S. Navy, and other navies like Russia, China. And so I'm going to give you the characteristics of UFOs, of these things that they've been seeing since 1947. Pardon me, I'm going to take a sip of water. Give me a second here. So you have to ask yourself, are these things so advanced? So I'm not talking about the ones that are up in the sky right now, okay? So I don't know, nobody truly knows all the information yet. But let's talk about the ones from 1947. It seems that these things are attracted to nuclear power, and they follow aircraft carriers. So these things, they've known since after they detonated a nuclear bomb and around the time of the birth of Israel. So the speed at which these things can travel supposedly is the same in 1947 as they are now. So let's take the characteristics of what they are now. And so lies the question, are they just advancements, just really advanced drones? Well, I'm quite sure that they didn't have them back then, right? So doesn't that answer a question right there? Could they have something? They may. So this is, I'm going to tell you, there was an interview last night, and I'll tell you about Tucker Carlson. So Tucker Carlson is interviewing someone, which I'll share the YouTube video. And this is data from, this is a forward-looking infrared video from a carrier in San Diego in the ocean, and an object is following them, like, you know, right at the exact same speed as them, maybe 50 knots or something. You know, maybe it's about 100 or 200 feet up. It's not color camera because it's a forward-looking infrared, and it's following them. And they say that these things follow them. They don't tell us, okay? And so, you know, and Tucker Carlson says, well, you know, that's all great. We've known about this stuff for a long time. It turns out this stuff isn't conspiracy theory anymore. But what's surprising in this video, which you'll see for yourself, it starts to go beneath the waves. And the question is, you know, they've been known to go from one end of the sky and appear in another. You know, they're like, you know, however far that is, let's just say 100 miles in the flick of a finger. So, you know, Tucker Carlson is saying, now, like, you know, this is changing my mind. This is, these things are going under the waves. Is it just a hologram? Does it just look like it's going under the waves? And it turns out it's not. And so if you don't believe me, you're going to have to watch the episode for yourself. So this man says there is data that suggests that, I guess, by sonar, I don't think it would be by radar because it's under the waves. Radar picks up signatures from above the waves, so it must be sonar, but they're tracked at going 300 knots. Think about that, underwater. They don't have a torpedo that can go that quickly. They don't have anything that can go that quickly underwater. So that leaves a big question mark, doesn't it? And then I saw an interview last night because of all this stuff that's happening, and it was an F-18 pilot, an ex-F-18 pilot, and he says that he would go out, you know, with his group of F-18s, and they would be doing their flying tactics wherever they were doing it. I don't know where it was, but he said that 50 to 60% of the time that they're doing all their tactics, so they're burning a lot of fuel, okay? They're able to stay up for an hour and 20 minutes without you know, and then they have to go either to a tanker or to land and refuel. And he said that these things are going at Mach speed. They're staying in the air for the entire day, entire night. That just doesn't stop. So it makes you think, right? What can do that? And I just have to say to you, you know, don't let that scare you at all, because, you know, as crazy as it sounds, it doesn't sound so crazy anymore, does it? Now that I have it on camera, now that Congress will release these videos and they decide to do that type of stuff. And you wonder, what is this big deception going to be at the end? What is this deception going to be? And a lot of people, like, this is far from just me. I can go to the most reputable people who think and have written articles and have large YouTube channels, who think that, well, we already know there's going to be a big deception, and would a fake alien invasion fit into the picture? And the answer is yes, right? So I don't know. I don't want myself. I don't like buying into conspiracy theories. But when you start seeing the data and you start seeing the video, it's kind of different, right? Pardon me another second. I'm going to give you my testimony. It's not long. This really happened. I shared this on another channel I have, and just don't be ashamed, right? So just give me a sec. In another video, my next, I'm typing this up. I'm going to talk about the great falling away and the great apostasy of the church. A lot to do with the Catholic Church and the Vatican. You may not like it, but I'd rather tell you the truth. I was Catholic, okay? I don't, Catholics are good people. They're no different than anyone else, right? We're all Christian. I don't like denominations at all. Just the Bible, just the infallible Bible, right? It's the belief systems that are in it that worry me, and it can put a lot of people in trouble. So I'm writing down stuff to keep you aware of what these things are. There's a lot of stuff happening in the States too with these train derailments. That's unfortunate that happened. And a lot of stuff about chickens and shortages and in my view, a lot of these are purposely done. So, and I'll go on to explain that in my next video. I've written a book. I don't know. I'm not on here to endorse my book, but I'll show it to you anyways. I didn't have a good life. I wasn't a bad person, but I wasn't doing the best things, and I just had a rough life. I didn't know I had autism. I didn't know I had mental health disorders. I didn't know. I went 13 years respectively and 19 years not knowing I had something as painful as a suicide pain disease, like complex regional pain syndrome, because I wasn't diagnosed properly. I wasn't diagnosed. I moved out here in this place about 4.5 years ago. I was at my parents' house. I was very sick. I have 4 pain suicide diseases. One in the back of my skull, trigeminal neuralgia on both sides, something called adhesive arachnoiditis of my spine, which is incredibly painful to my legs, and full body. It's CRPS-like, same symptoms, but a new disorder that is people who think they have full body CRPS actually have this disorder. A lot of burning, aching, stabbing, throbbing, jabbing type stuff. And so in all, I have many different issues. I have trouble speaking, getting my breath. I have abdominal disorders, like acute abdominal disorders. So my life is very tough. I can't, so don't be ashamed, right? I can't work like a real job. I can only stay healthy and I can only stay healthy and do all the hobbies I can and stay busy and try to learn, right? And so I moved in here. I was in very bad shape. I couldn't barely walk. I was walking with a cane. I couldn't walk for almost 10 years, because I was couch bound, bed bound. I was in a bad way. Couldn't breathe, didn't know what my abdominal disorders were. I was lost. I was 97 pounds at one point. I didn't drink water, like 100 milliliters of water per day for up to 2 years, and I didn't even speak. I didn't even speak because I was so worn out and I had so much pain. No one was telling me what was wrong. It wasn't my fault. And so I moved in here and getting by myself. I better make sure this is recording, shouldn't I? Moving in here was a big deal. I finally had my own environment where I could start solving my issues and all that type of stuff. Around when COVID started, like, I can't afford a lot of stuff, okay? I just can't. I try to work, I try to make my own jobs, I try to do that type of stuff despite what I'm going through. There's a drug that helps my abdominal pain, and it helps me get my breath back. And without it, I can't sleep at nighttime. Like, I can't breathe if I don't have this. It's like a smooth muscle relaxant for my throat. And it's just a little pill. It's just a little white pill. It's called hyoscine. It's for like air hunger and acute abdominal pain. People use it for IBS. And in my country, big pharma turned them on the store shelves for IBS, so they made it available to everyone. All of a sudden, my prescription, I was, it was first come first serve. I need this. If I can't breathe, I can't eat. My weight is so low to begin with. So here I am. Some days I wouldn't have my full amount, and I had to count on it was my dad to get it for me, to go and get it for me. And I was worried, and I'm going to get to the bottom. I'm just going to say it. I didn't want to live, okay? I wanted assisted death. I'm in Canada. I wanted assisted death. And if you had a mental health disorder, you couldn't get it. I don't like speaking about this. I'm going to speak about this just once. And so I couldn't get it because I had a mental health disorder, but they said in 2 years, in March, which is next month, you'll qualify. Everyone in Canada will qualify. Here I am. Just one of my disorders is as painful as terminal cancer pain. That's adhesive arachnoiditis. And they're saying no to me, and they're letting people who are much better than me go. God didn't want me to go. I don't really want to go. Guys, I don't want to go, and that's the bottom line, but I'm just telling you my story. So, I have a bit of time here. Just give me a sec. I'm so dehydrated. I didn't have the best doctor, family physician. Never questioned why I couldn't walk and why a whole bunch of stuff. I have injuries over my body, very painful injuries. And I just wanted, that's it. I just didn't want to be here anymore because it's that bad. It's that bad. When I make these videos, guys, I'm not well. And to top it, to top everything that was happening, I got I had an allergic reaction. All of a sudden it created something called gallbladder dyskinesia, hyperkinesia, which is gallbladder attacks. If things weren't bad enough. And so I started going to sleep afraid, and I was waking up in the morning afraid. I was terrified I'd wake up without the only medication I had to breathe. How would you feel if you knew that your life hung on a simple little pill that you can get in a drugstore now without a prescription? And I knew I couldn't really afford these things, and I have to afford my painkillers, all my vitamins and all that stuff. So I'll get to the point. I was scared. I'll tell you, I love God, and it was a hard decision, and it was a scary decision. But I believe in my heart there's no way God would want someone to be in terminal cancer pain at the age of 40. So I'm 44, okay? All the time. And this happened to me when I was 30. And problem upon problem just kept building up. So I woke up, and I forget what time of day it was, but all of a sudden I was on the phone with someone, and then it was this phone I'm showing you right here. Okay, this telephone. This is a simple portable phone. I've looked it over 1,000 times, and I'm not going to do it again. And when I'm speaking to someone on the phone, all of a sudden it cuts out, like it dies. I look at the screen, I'm like, okay, well, it cut out. Nothing else. My internet didn't cut out. Nothing else cut out. All of a sudden it comes back and goes beep, 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 like loud, 3 loud beeps. All of a sudden there's numbers on the screen. And it was, like say 10, and it would say /11. It would do that. It would stay on the screen for about 5 to, I don't know, not even 10 seconds. Then it would disappear. And it happened a total of 9 times, spread out. And the first one was 1311, and it stuck in my mind to look it up, like later. And it said, and I have proof in another, like a video on my other channel that I did like 3 years before COVID started, before all the stuff on the world started happening. And I read it, and I typed up 1311 Bible verse. That's what I looked up on Google, and it only pertained to 2 things. It was either Romans 13:11 or it was Corinthians 13:11. And Corinthians 13:11 sits on my counter, my mother's funeral card. The only Bible verse that sits there, which is, once I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I talked like a child. And here I was, just terrified. And also, the only 2 pertaining ones, it could have been anywhere in the Bible, right? Was Romans 13:11. Wake up, your salvation is closer than once first believed. And slowly but surely it started to happen more and more. People would ask me, why was I cutting them out on the phone? I didn't. It happened I started writing them down. Those are the ones I'm going to share with you. That's what changed my life. You may say, well, it could have been any number or anything. It could have ended up, it wasn't just any place in the Bible. It was something that pertained just to me. And when it would happen, it would be things pertaining to what I was going through at that very time. I don't see hallucinations. I despite my mental, my autism and other mental disorders, I don't get hallucinations. So that's what happened to me. And so what happened after that? Here I was, I'm in my, I want assisted death. I've had enough of this. This is going too far. I don't know anyone who has the amount of things wrong with themselves as me. I haven't met anyone in person like that. And I'm just losing it now. So that's what happened to me. Yes. Can you imagine? In almost 19 years I went. I was hurt by an antidepressant in 2003, 4, and I ended up with a CRPS-like pain over my entire body. And no one ever diagnosed me. I went to pain doctors. No one ever helped me. They didn't bother doing any of that. They just left me. And I suffered for a long time. For that 19 years, I got my diagnosis. So that's the good part. Your salvation is closer than once first believed. In 2021, end of 2021, 2022, I got 1 diagnosis, another. I think I got 6 or 7 diagnoses in a row. It was as if that very verse, the first one that came up, was telling me, wake up, and wake up out of your slumber, something's coming. So I got all my diagnoses, and all of a sudden, all these things start happening and coming on the world. Did God keep me alive to bring me to the end? Okay, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There's more that's happened, and it's hard to describe to you how it happened and what it was and what feelings were associated with it, but I'm telling you, God is real. Thank you for watching my video. I'll link what I can in here. Um, like that is my testimony. If someone wants to ask me in person or something, I'll tell them, but I'm not ashamed of it at all. It happened. And I even talked to God and I said, why haven't you given me messages afterwards? And I don't believe I'm a prophet or anything. I believe God does miracles. Can he talk and send a message, just a simple numbers on a phone and do it, 9 times? Yes. When I look at people on channels and I see false prophets, it makes me sick. That's my testimony. I thought I would share it with you. God pulled me out from a very, very tough place. Not to say that I'm not still going through a lot of hell, because I will be till the day I die. Thank you for watching this. I hope that gives you some hope, because there is some hope in that, because God helped me, and God can help you too. Keep reading your Bible.